top of your screen, and that will tell you that you're live or not. So I'm just trying to see if, Sai, do you have access to the YouTube? Can you see if we've gone live?
I'll have a look. Let me just get rid of my YouTube. Yep, we are live on your channel.
We are live. There you go. Yes, we are indeed. We are indeed. That's brilliant.
Although only half of Fiona's face is shown.
Yes, Fiona, just center yourself in the screen. Then that would be brilliant if you could do that. There you go. That's it. Yeah.
Am I not centered?
Yeah, no, that's better. That's fine. Where you are now is perfect. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to another therapy session from Brown Car Guy. And I hope that we have... Fiona is in slow motion. She's kind of like freezing, unfreezing. So hopefully we'll have Fiona as well joining us.
Oh, am I?
Yes, there you are. So say hello, guys. Say hello to everybody listening, and just briefly take a few seconds to tell everybody who you are. I think most people know who Sai is now.
Batman impersonator.
But just say hello to everyone.
Hello.
Short and simple. Sai, founder of Drivers Union, and today we are honored to be joined by Fiona. Do I pronounce your surname correctly? I said Easterby. Is that correct?
Easterby, yeah. Yeah, Easterby.
So just take a moment to tell everybody who you are.
Or more than a moment.
More than a moment, yeah.
Pedro.
You're cutting in and out. But you're cutting.
It's amazing. She was really clear, and it was great before I started recording.
Yeah.
Pedro the Baja bug. Well, I'll try.
Okay, this is going to be fun.
And try switch out. Looks fine on mine. Should I go?
To be fair, she's on a boat.
She's on a boat. Yeah, she's on a boat, and she's not
back to the computer.
She's not on Wi-Fi. Well, but you're using the Wi-Fi on your phone, though, aren't you? So we have a little bit of an issue where we try and sort out if we can get Fiona back through whatever limited data she's got on her phone, because as Sai said, she's on a boat. And but the boat's not out to sea, though.
Yeah, but it's on a boat, and I've never been to the boat, but she's on a boat on a river, I assume.
Yeah. Okay.
Somewhere in Surrey, I think.
So we now have.
There you go.
Is that better?
That does seem to be better. We can at least see you and hear you. So.
I've switched to a different internet connection. Am I stable now?
Yes, you are indeed. Okay, so let's try that again.
I may, of course, run out of data on this one because this one's limited data.
Fun and games. The brilliance of doing live podcasts from a boat. And where is the boat? So I said you're in Surrey. Where are you?
On a boat. On a very messy boat with Pedro outside the window.
Yeah.
Pedro's
and his son.
He's named it Pedro.
Pedro is the Baja bug.
Yes.
You're going to be telling us about. So first of all, just tell everybody what you do.
Yeah.
Who are you and what you do?
Well, believe it or not, I'm a television camera operator, though with the state of my camera and the internet connection, I'm probably not. Yeah.
Don't put this on your CV.
Operator.
Don't put this on your CV, whatever you do.
I've got rubbish Wi-Fi. I've got a great camera, but my camera's 4K, and you'd never cope with the bandwidth of that on my mobile phone connection. So, yeah, and yes, my laptop is about 20 years old, so the webcam's about 20 years old. But as I say, it's like Trigger's broom. Most of the internals have been replaced, but the webcam's never gone wrong, so it's still a 20-year-old webcam on the laptop.
Dear.
So you guys made me switch to the phone.
Well, the thing is, when we were trying it earlier, so obviously when we do these things, we kind of join a few minutes before to see if everything is working. And we were having some trouble before, but somehow, once we've gone live, it seems to have switched back the other way, where this is now working a little bit better. So
welcome to the 21st century.
Welcome to 2025. But you know what? It's okay, because this is a therapy session. It's a safe space. You know, you can be who you are and you can say what you like, so it's all right. But tell us a little bit about your adventures. I did do a little interview with you about, I think, what, 3 years ago, was it? I think about 3 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, we did it. Actually, I think it was longer than that. It was
Oh,
at
wow.
it was at the Scion House car show, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
Was
was.
it?
I
It
think it
was
was a year after the lockdown, wasn't it? Because it was the first show that had come back
yeah,
after the lockdown. So I'm guessing that must have been
yeah.
21 or 22 then.
Must have been around then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
So yes, you did an interview with me with my Beetle, about my drive in the Beetle from the UK to Singapore.
UK to Singapore.
So yeah, I started off a bit smaller than that. So I drove a Beetle from the UK to Gambia. That was a Beetle that I'd bought for £99 that hadn't run for 15 years, and I drove it down over the Sahara Desert to the
For
Gambia, where it was auctioned
£99.
off for charity.
So okay,
Yeah,
so was that
yeah.
part of the sort of like the bend thing that happened? Was that part of that?
No, it's called the Plymouth Banjul Challenge. It's supposed to be like a budget version of the Paris Dakar, with the original Paris Dakar route, down through the Sahara Desert, through Mauritania, and finishing up in Gambia rather than Senegal. So yeah, the rules of the rally were you had to buy a car for under £100, drive it down to Gambia, and then all the cars were auctioned off for charity in Gambia.
Wow.
So that was the first car rally that I did, and I very much got the bug, as it were. The only reason I chose a Beetle, yeah, the only reason I chose a Beetle, it wasn't actually my choice. I decided I wanted to do this. I'm a rubbish mechanic, so I signed up a friend of mine who was the best mechanic that I knew, without telling him, of course. And when I told him, he said, yes, okay, I'm up for that, as long as I can choose the car. And he was restoring Beetles as his business, so that's what he chose. So he found the car, and then he had to drop out. His mum was taken ill, and he had to drop out the rally. So it ended up me and my friend Claire, no mechanical skills whatsoever between us, with this car that he got on the road for us, but it hadn't run for 15 years prior to that.
Wow.
That we'd paid £99 for, and our first breakdown was at Fleet Services on the M3,
Oh,
but somehow we got all the way to Gambia. Yeah.
And that's
yeah, that was
that's Pedro, right?
No, that was
no,
Oxford.
that was Poldy. That was an orange car called Poldy, Orange Beetle, because those cars were all auctioned for charity in Gambia. So that one didn't come back again. It actually got sold to a Persian princess.
A Persian princess?
Well, Poldy actually came with that name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. One of the Shah's daughters, who she was at university over here when the regime overthrew the Shah, and so of course she couldn't go home again. Anyway, she was dating a friend of mine, and they had a property in Gambia, and they decided that they were going to buy my Beetle at the end of the rally. They thought it would be a nice end to our story, as it were, which was lovely.
So have they still got it?
So the car carried on down in Gambia. Well, no, they sold at the place in Gambia. There was a fire at the place, but they ended up giving it to a local eco lodge who were using it as a tourist taxi down there. So it lives on. It lives on after 15 years. But the funny thing was, it had the name Poldy written on the deck lid on the back when we bought it, just the letters Poldi. So we called the car Poldy because of that sticker on the back. When we got to Senegal, a German guy came over and he said, "Oh, I think I know this car." And he walked around to the back and he said, "Yes, Poldy, I know this car." And he'd sold it in Germany 15 years before. Yeah.
Wow. that is unique.
So yeah, so after that trip,
a car that literally took on a life of its own, and it was not meant to go anywhere, ended up doing this incredible trip and lives on even today in service. That's just Volkswagen Beetles for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Movies about it.
Yeah.
Well, we've all seen the Top Gear Botswana special. What was the most reliable car on that trip? The Beetle. Yeah. Although I can't really speak for reliability, as I say, our first breakdown was at Fleet Services on the M3, We
It's
we
the
lost
sort of
power and couldn't get over 40 miles an hour.
it's the sort of car that you think, well,
But
imagine
yeah,
if cars could write autobiographies, then the stories that that car would tell, right?
wow, it's funny you should mention that. So Beetle Drive is, of course, about my other beef.
yeah, but that's your bio. That's your autobiography. That's about your trip that you did.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and actually, there's a film on Amazon about the orange beetle, about Poldy and the drive to Gambia in Poldy. That's called Bug to Banjul, where we finished in Banjul in Gambia.
Wow.
So yeah, that's out on Amazon. And then yes, so I came back from that trip and started looking for something else I could do. And went for the Mongol Rally, which most people have probably heard of the Mongol Rally. That's probably the best known of the banger rallies. And in that one, you have to buy cars for under 1,000. Sorry, it's you have to buy cars under 1,000 cc. So it's under 1,000 cc, and those cars are donated at the end of the event as well. So nobody spends a lot of money on the cars. So I started out in a Suzuki SJ. I was actually a last-minute replacement co-driver for someone else, so I didn't choose the vehicle. I was just invited to the launch party, and someone didn't have a co-driver, so I got invited to go along. Unfortunately, we didn't really get on, but we ended up swapping. I ended up swapping with someone in another car and finished up in a Nissan Micra.
Oh my goodness.
With someone in a similar situation who was not getting on with their co-driver.
I suppose you have to be close to them or really get to know them really well to go. I mean, it's worse than a honeymoon, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a long way to go.
Well, actually, it's funny you should say. I do know somebody who they spent their honeymoon doing the Peking Paris Rally in an American La France in 1917. American La France. No, she did say it nearly ended up in divorce. The only picture I've seen of it, the American La France has no wet weather gear. So the only picture I've seen of her on this rally, she's wearing a full length leather coat, but she's plastered from head to toe in mud.
Ah.
But this is a lady that ran a rally company, you know, she loves cars. It's not like she was, you know, had her arm twisted, but it's quite a grueling event, and extreme weathers when you have no wet weather gear on a car, that's going to test things.
Yeah, I don't even like to drive to France in my car, let alone go around the world. That's my idea of hell, you know. So is it because you're?
Yes, I love a road trip.
Is it because you're on a no-fly list? Is that the reason why you drive everywhere?
I'm not on a no-fly list. I'm flying in November. I'm flying away.
Oh, you
in fact, you know the last road trip. The last road trip I did was around New Zealand, wasn't it? And that was in November. I had to fly to get there. I didn't drive there. I know I drove to Singapore, but
so you're still
I flew home.
So you're still doing these overlanding trips then? Obviously, this one you didn't do in Pedro then.
No, I wanted to, but bizarrely, the shipping cost to ship Pedro to New Zealand, it was $1,500, about $1,400 I was quoted to ship Pedro to New Zealand. So I thought, okay, that's not too bad. So I was figuring, you know, three and a half with port fees to ship the car there and back again. But no, it was $1,400 to ship the car there, $7,000 to ship back again.
Wow.
Why?
Apparently that's because there's direct shipping routes to New Zealand, but no direct routes coming back again. So it would have taken 5 weeks to ship there and 6 months to come back on 3 different boats via the States and the Panama Canal. So
I think that's because of the convicts.
So I was then...
You send the convicts there very quickly, but we don't want them back quick.
No, that was Australia we sent convicts to, not New Zealand.
Cool. The same place, New Zealand, Australia.
Same.
It all sounds the same.
Actually, my co-driver on that trip, she was flying in from Australia. We're old school friend, but she moved to Australia in her 20s. So we reunited for our 50th year road trip, if you like.
Right,
but actually, there's our 50th year road trip was around Europe in Ferrari, another one, because we enjoyed that one.
What year did you do the Pedro to when you got to Iran and to Pakistan?
2009.
Okay, not that
right
long
after the Iranian elections, when it was all kicking off there and media were banned.
So how was Iran? So a friend of mine actually has driven through Iran twice. Last year he drove from Pakistan to the UK, and he drove through Iran, and then this year
Yeah.
again he went to Russia, but he also went through Iran as well. He was actually trying to go to Russia through Afghanistan, and he managed to get into Afghanistan and get across it, but then they wouldn't let him out the other side. And he literally waited. He spent 5 days there arguing with them, and literally they started to threaten his life.
Yeah.
They started to threaten him, and then he eventually decided, okay, I'll go
Wow.
back. So he had to go back to Pakistan and then go through Iran and go the long way around. But the thing is, from his videos and his vlogs, he loves going through Iran. He says Iran is like the most hospitable place. They're the friendliest people. You know, they
Yeah.
give you, they help you out, and he says it's just the best place for it as far as he's concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody not in uniform is incredibly friendly, incredibly welcoming, very, very hospitable. Yeah, they do anything for you. Just need to avoid the people in uniform. They weren't so welcoming. Yeah, I had some interesting encounters, but the first time, I think I was on about my third day in Iran, third or fourth day, and I got pulled over by the police. Before I could even find out what they wanted, 3 different cars had stopped and told them to leave me alone.
Oh,
So they went
really?
away.
What's the one country you would?
And then I didn't encounter them again until I. What's that?
What's the one country you would never go back to? You would never drive through again.
I don't know that there are any. Really that I would choose not to go to. I mean, I've got favourites. I don't know. China was very difficult. That was because of the bureaucracy, not because of the country. Yeah, that was very difficult. They make it very difficult for you to travel there. You have to have a guide in the car with you. They can close the borders at a moment's notice. But yeah, I mean, that's all down to bureaucracy. Driving across Tibet and up to Everest Base Camp was amazing. And that's something you can't do anymore because they've turned Everest Base Camp into a bit of a theme park. You now have to get a coach trip from the bottom. There's a car park at the bottom and they've tarmacked the road. When I went, it was 99 kilometres of dirt washboard track road, and anyone driven on roads that have looked up know what I mean by washboard. It's like driving over corrugated surface for 99 kilometres. But now they've tarmacked it and put a car park at the bottom, and you have to pay a fortune to get a coach up there.
Wow.
And we had to have permits to go up there, but
you did that in Pedro?
Yeah, so I did that in Pedro, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the mileage on Pedro now?
I don't know. Been round the clock, broken a couple of speedos, you know. They go round the clock, get up to about 9,000 or 10,000 miles, and then jam, and I have to buy a new one. Or a second-hand one.
I remember when you brought it down to Scion Park and we had it on a club display. And we had Ferraris, Lamborghinis, all these other cars, and in the middle, Fiona's was Pedro, and yours was the most popular.
Yeah.
Everybody liked it, and she had and you had the tent on the roof, and people were climbing up to have a look, including me.
Yeah, and I was parked next to David Eaton's Porsche 917K, if you remember. So between the two of us, none of the Ferraris and Lamborghinis were getting a look in. No one noticed them.
And I had a ride in it once. You gave me a ride. I was like, "Wow, this is really cool." You know, you got petrol tanks.
Yeah.
It's like Mad Max. It's like a Disney version of Mad Max, is what I would put it as.
I remember that. That was when I gave you a lift to pick your car up from HRO in, and when we got there, everybody came out to look at the Beetle.
There you go. Yeah. Ferraris, boring. That's a good.
Yeah.
So when you went to Pakistan, you went in 2009, and you drove to Pakistan. Now at the moment, Pakistan seems to be really popular on TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah.
There seem to be a lot of Western vloggers now over there. And I guess in one sense, you're the sort of pioneer of that by doing that. But how did you find that experience?
I loved Pakistan. Again, as with Iran, people are very welcoming, but the police also very welcoming in Pakistan, unlike in Iran, where anyone in a uniform was best avoided. So when I went from Iran across the border into Pakistan, of course, when I arrived, I was wearing my headscarf, and I drove across the border in the Beetle, not entirely sure how well I was going to be received, and but I'd done my homework, and I knew that, you know, talk about cricket, and you know, you can't go far wrong. So
I can't
so
go
there's these
we are too disgraced to our culture
police.
because we're two brown people that don't know anything about cricket.
They use a racket.
Well, yeah. Well, there's these 3 police sat outside the customs building, customs immigration building, drinking tea, of course. And they looked at me in the Beetle and looked me up and down and said, "Where are you from?" Couldn't lie, I was at the borders. I said, "England," not knowing quite how I was going to be received. And they said, "Oh, you're English. Come and have a cup of tea. Do you like cricket?" Yes, I lied. Yes. But I timed my visit very well, because I knew that Pakistan had just beaten Australia. So I said, "Yes," I said, "and Pakistan just beat Australia, didn't you?" So, you know, I was very, very welcome after that. And they took me to the front of all the immigration queues, and all the people in the queues were quite happy and just saying, "Welcome to our country." And then when I got to the customs officer, who brought me tea and biscuits as well, he said to me, "Are you Muslim?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Why are you wearing a headscarf then?" I said, "Well, because all the other ladies are." And he said, "Yeah, because they're Muslim." He said, "You don't have to." He said, "This isn't Iran. You just be comfortable. Wear what you want." And yeah, it was very, very friendly, very sweet. They gave me police escorts up across most of the country. There were areas where they said it was fine, and I didn't really need anyone with me. That was mostly because of what was going on in Afghanistan at the time. But also they said that there had been a few tourists kidnapped by tribal groups, very tribal regions, and they said that tourists did occasionally get kidnapped, and they said, you know, there was no threat to the tourists. They would kidnap them and use them to negotiate the release of their own people from prison. And they said, whenever, you know, they've always been returned unharmed, and saying how hospitable their hosts were and how well treated they were. They said, but we try and avoid that situation. It's not great for international relations, you know. For promoting tourism in the country. And I mean, I didn't have any issues at all. I mean, they were quite worried about me traveling on my own.
Did you go into the northern areas then?
No, I would have liked to, but I was pushed for time. I had specific points where I had date dependent visas, and I actually got sick in Quetta and ended up in hospital in Quetta for 3 days. So that delayed me. So then after that, I had to get a move on to get to the Tibetan border in time and make sure I didn't miss that, you know, time critical border. Because we had to have a guide across China, and paid a fortune for the guide. So we had to get there on time. I did have
food poisoning when you got ill?
Yeah, how did you guess? I'm told even Pakistani people get sick when they go to Quetta. Apparently it's infamous for it.
Oh, you get sick anyway. Honestly, like I'm careful not to drink any water or to eat any salads or anything like that. It might have been tap water.
Well, I ended up in Quetta Christian Hospital for 3 days. Very well treated in there. I was on obviously an all-female ward, which is something that you rarely get here anymore. I've been in mixed wards in the UK, which I hate. I was on an all-female ward in the Quetta Christian Hospital, which is very like an old-fashioned English hospital, probably because the English built it. But you have a nurse's station still at the top of the ward. So there is a sister nurse in each ward at the desk at the front of the room. The second she left the room, all the women on the ward gathered round my bed and are all trying to talk to me, but none of them spoke English. And, you know, my few phrases of Farsi weren't really cutting it. I mean, all I can say is, yes, no, where's the toilet? And do you speak English? Which didn't really help. But you know, you can get a long way with gestures. and tone of voice and things. They were being very friendly, you know, stroking my hair and patting my hands, and I'm saying to them, "Oh, it's very hot, very hot," and they understood what that meant, because they took my bed and wheeled it into the middle of the room underneath the ceiling fan.
Nice.
So the nurse came back, "What's going on?" And she spoke English, and she translated for me. And she said, "They're all saying what lovely hair and skin you have, and they want to know what creams you use." And she said, "They all want to know, are you married?" And she rolled her eyes, and she said, "They're all looking for a wife for their sons."
Oh.
That's where you went wrong.
Yeah.
A husband.
Yeah.
I had the same problem as well when I go abroad. It was asking me about my skincare regime.
You know, the interesting thing about this is that you did that in 2009. Recently, I was following a guy, an American guy, who's been driving across the globe in a Dodge Challenger in a muscle car. And I caught up with him on Instagram when he was going through Afghanistan, and he was having a great time. And after Afghanistan, he went into Pakistan, and he also had a fantastic time there. He got involved in a lot of stuff. I think he was criticized as well internationally, and he was responding to people like, you know, Piers Morgan, who had said something about him or whatever. But he loved it, and then he moved on. And I was thinking about all these bloggers that are now going there, and they're finding it's a great time. You in 2009, that guy now today in his Dodge Challenger. And then conversely, and I know you know the story as well, there's this poor Indian chap who's ridden across the world in his motorbike, comes all the way to the UK, and he's fine. And he's fine all along the way. He's fine, and he arrives in the UK. He gets his bike, his gear, his camera, his clothes, everything stolen.
Yeah.
Don't go South London.
Yeah, but you know, the kindness of strangers. Again, you know, he's had people donate him kit to carry on, and he's able to carry on again now. And that's one thing that attracts me to traveling like that. Is it restores your faith in humanity, because shit things like that can happen, but then more often than not, people are falling over themselves to help you.
That's a very good
and that's
point.
the amazing thing about traveling like that.
That's a very excellent point that you've made. Do you think that this kind of, you see the best of humanity when you're out and about doing this sort of thing?
I think you do, yeah. Well, it restores your faith in humanity, because you often find the poorest people will give you the most. They'll give you their last penny, or, you know, I've been invited into grass huts and given fresh bottled water. And food, and you just think it's just, they obviously haven't got a lot, but whatever they have got, they will, you know, they want to give to you, and they won't accept anything in return. But I mean, going back to your point about that poor Indian biker who was robbed over here, when I was in Pakistan, I was in the Baluchistan desert, which at the time there was no road through there. Now I'm told there's a fantastic, one of the best driving roads in the world goes through there. But when I was there, it was very much still under construction. It was dirt track. It was potholed. The bridges were still being built. I was told at that point, I'd had police escorts from the border, but when I got to that road, they said, "Oh, no, this is fine. You don't need an escort. You can go through on your own here." And I'm fairly certain that they just didn't want to go with me because they knew how bad the road was. So I get to this river, I'm on my own, and I get to this river, and normally what you ought to do is test the depth of the river and make sure it's not too deep to drive through. But I could see tire tracks going in. I could see tire tracks coming up the bank on the other side. So, of course, I just went for it. It looked like it was a regular crossing point. It wasn't too deep, but what happened was something underwater caught on the sump guard of my car and bent it backwards under the car, so it was dragging along the ground. When I went up the other side, it was bent under. So I had to stop, and there's this gang of guys come walking towards me, all these big bearded guys with pickaxes and shovels come walking towards me, and they'd been working building the bridge. But, you know, I'm a stone's throw from Helmand, you know, Afghanistan, Helmand province, where it had all been kicking off at that time. So it was a little bit nerve-wracking, but they're absolute sweethearts who they helped take the sump guard off and use their tools to hammer it back into shape and put it back on for me. And they invited me for tea and said, would I like to join them for lunch? And when I said thank you to them, they said, no thanks necessary. They said, it's our duty to help travellers.
Yeah.
And that's the attitude that I came across all the way across Pakistan, and actually in a lot of the countries I've traveled in. But that was actually said to me in Pakistan, and I've written in my book, I said, you know, I've written about it, and that I find it very sad that those same people, if they were touring the UK, doing something like I was doing there, but in the UK, they'd probably be treated with suspicion.
Especially
and
with
I would
everything
hate
that's
to
going
think that
on
they
right
would come
now.
over here and exactly.
And I think you make a very good point about the way that we have perceptions, and we're so eager to jump to conclusions and to make judgments, you know, based on, you know, the way that we're thinking or the way that we've been brainwashed to think and what have you. And it's a real shame because, you know, humans are humans, travelers are travelers, and wherever they are in the world, like you say, sometimes shit happens, and then you need the help of strangers, the kindness of strangers to get you by.
Well, 99% of the people in the world are lovely people. You know, it's the 1% that sort of spoil it for everybody else.
And the rest of them are parked outside your garage, aren't they? So
yeah, 2 of them are.
Go on, let off some steam, because I know you've been dying to let off some steam.
Okay.
There was one thing that Sai wanted to rant about today, and we're going to give him his 5 minutes so he can do that, because this is a therapy session and he's got to get it off his chest. So,
why do people park in front of garages, my garage, or any other garage? They block me and I can't get my car. This is like 3 times now. I've got 2 cars now parked outside, and I mean, it's deceiving. The Mondeo is actually at an angle, so I can't actually drive it out. I've only got 2 of those garages, by the way. The one on the right is not mine, and one of them's a garage, one's for the back garden, so I can't get them out. So sometimes, if I'm in a really bad mood, I will call the council, and the council will slap £185 ticket on there, which if you pay within 14 days, it's half the price. But when you start thinking, well, you know what, there could be a nut. They know where I live. I don't know where they live, and I could get a brick through my window another time. But I don't understand. I've got signs that it says don't park it there. He just park it. I've had people just park their car literally basically just there and do it. I used to have this guy. Used to park his car every Saturday afternoon for about 3 hours, right? But I couldn't catch him. And I put a note on there, for 5 weeks. And then I got him a ticket. And I got a GoPro camera. I stuck it in a window, so I was looking out. He got a ticket. I saw him come in, get in a car. Then he notices a ticket on the windscreen, gets out, has a look at it, and he's looking around. What's happening? Does that understand? He's parking in front of me. Never saw him again. You know, another woman kept parking it there. She was at a local school, couldn't get my car, was parking it nearly every day. At one point, I stuck with a tape about 20 no parking stickers around her car. You know, so I'm not damn. You can't damage your car. And a friend of mine, I sent a photo to a friend, and she goes, "That's a bit much, isn't it? What are you doing there?" So I took most of them off and just left them on her thing. She still parked it there.
Oh, really? Wow.
She still parked it, and that's the problem. And they don't. It's like one guy once parked it there, blocking both up, and I had to go somewhere, couldn't get out. I called the police. In those days, it's about 12 years ago. You call the police, they'll come along. They picked it up and they parked it down the road. So they charged him for the parking and for the pickup. And apparently he was coming to knock on my door, my house. No one was in. And one of my neighbors bumped into him, and he's like really angry. He goes, "I don't know why I got a ticket." He goes, "Well, you parked it there." He was an English teacher doing a session. So there's a special place in hell for these people. Really, it's just so you know, the police won't do anything. Oh, sorry, can't do anything. You know, if you call the council, if they do come, they're on my speed dial. If they do come, sometimes they don't come. Most of the time they don't come now. And so what do you do? So now I just put that. I've got like I've studied psychology now. So sometimes I put a piece of paper down on it, and I turn around and say, thank you very much. You've actually ruined a day of my work, and I've lost a day's wages because I haven't. But I just write that down. Try and make them feel better. But they're probably all sociopaths. I don't give a shit.
No, but why do they park there? Are there shops nearby or whatever? Where do they go when they park there?
The problem is where I live, they've made it no parking everywhere over there. Yeah. So from the next road down to all the roads over there, and the town centres over there, you're allowed to park. So everybody who works in the town the police cars, policemen all come down there. Everybody, office workers, they're all parking there. I can't even park my own car. One of my own cars outside. I can't find a space sometimes. It's just, and that's the council. But the council, it just, no parking there. But I would like to have permits there. But then my neighbours have voted against it.
Now I'm going to have a little bit of a rant, because also I think this ties into it's a little bit topical as well, because they're talking about how to rescue. Because I heard something the other day on the radio about how to rescue high streets and how to get people to go back to local high streets and stuff like that. And to my mind, I was like, look, it's really simple. Let people park.
Yeah.
And I think that what we found, especially when you think back to our era, sort of the 80s or whatever, you could drive around. You could drive anywhere, and invariably you could park in front of the shop that you needed to go to or nearby. And it was possible, and you wouldn't immediately be charged, and there weren't always double yellow lines, and you wouldn't always have to pay exorbitant parking prices that are based on the CC of your car, which is absolutely ridiculous. But the point is that they're trying to stop cars from entering these areas. They're trying to not facilitate them parking anywhere. And if there is parking, it's miles away, and if it isn't, then it's cost a fortune. And you think, well, how do you hope to regenerate these areas and these shops and these high roads when you're not facilitating people getting there? And the whole argument about, but if, you can use public transport and stuff, I think it's bunk. Because yes, a certain number of people will use public transport, but we have shitty weather here, and it's not always the most comfortable, pleasant, or safe environment on a public transport. We were talking, was it on this podcast or another, where somebody was talking about being threatened on a bus? This stuff happens, and so some people will feel comfortable using a car. If they're going shopping, they want to fill up the back of the car, et cetera, et cetera. So to me, I'm like, I think the problem that you're having with this parking issue is not so much because, like you said, people are idiots and it's 1%. I think it's because people are not being left any choice. They're being shoved into these areas.
So I got an £85 parking fine for parking in Sainsbury's. Apparently,
in Sainsbury's?
Yeah, Sainsbury's car park. I got an £85 fine. I can pay discounted to £50 if I pay within 14 days. Now I'm quite sure that you can only park there for 2 hours. Max. Yeah. They got me down as 1 hour 51 minutes. I have to now go back there and have a look to make sure it's 2 hours. So, all right, to be fair, I went to the gym, I had some lunch, and then did a bit of Sainsbury's shopping. But if it's less than 2 hours, so...
But again, that goes back to exactly what I'm saying about the fact that you're not facilitating people being able to get to play. You want to regenerate shops. You want to regenerate businesses. You want to regenerate the economy. You need to allow people to get there.
You just happen to have picked on the shop I've had a problem with as well, because I got accused of taking petrol without paying in a Sainsbury's petrol station, which I absolutely hadn't done. I'd just gone in and used the car wash. And they put the onus on me to try and prove that I hadn't. I said, well, you've got the CCTV. Yeah. It took months to get them to review it and actually say, oh, no, you didn't. But I was accused in front of a store full of people of taking fuel. So I boycott the store now. Wow. But going on to the parking, I went to Southampton Boat Show this week. You know how much the car park next to the show is? £60 a day. £60 a day for parking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Excel Exhibition Centre, which is in Docklands, £30 per day to park it. Yeah. I'm going there.
So at Olympia, I was working at a conference at Olympia last year. And it's really not that far from Olympia. It is Olympia, so it's not that far from where I live. And I thought, what if I just drive in every day? Because going by London Transport was a circuitous route for me. But again, I looked at the local parking, and I'd have to pay £30 a day to park there, and I was like, forget about it.
Well,
it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, but I just go for just park and use somebody's driveway or parking space.
Right.
Well, in Knightsbridge,
that's the way to get it cheaper.
If you're parking in Knightsbridge all day, it's cheaper to park a car legally, get a ticket, pay that, but needs to put it in a car.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's famously who is it that parks in front of the London Concourse every year outside on the double yellows deliberately because it's just cheaper to get a ticket there,
Who's that?
I think isn't it Duke of London? Isn't it those guys? I think it's.
Well, if he's advertising, then it's cheaper than paying for a stand, isn't it? Everyone's going to see it.
He doesn't advertise, but everybody kind of knows whose car it is because the first couple of years it was a beautiful Mustang. This year it was something else. I can't remember what it was.
It was a Koenigsegg this year.
Maybe it was something really nice, and it was just parked out the front because they were like, heck, it's okay if we get a ticket, it won't matter. It's still cheaper.
Well, they shut down Oxford Street, haven't they?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that's a permanent
They probably wouldn't even get a ticket because it would, the traffic warden would probably assume it was to do with the show.
Oh no, they give a ticket.
They give ticket. Yeah. Okay, they don't care.
Each year they gave it a ticket. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, there were pictures of people seeing, oh look, he's giving it a ticket. You know, so yeah.
I took a photograph of it. Yeah,
oh, was you?
Yeah. I probably showed you that one.
They definitely got tickets. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But again, they're like, you know, it doesn't matter. But again, it's the whole point. Again, when you talk about the fact that events are so expensive, you go to an event, you pay the tickets. The ticket prices are outlandish in some cases, and then on top of that, then you have to pay for the parking to go to an event. I mean, no wonder events are suffering. No wonder events are dying. No wonder, you know, high streets and shops and, you know, businesses are closing and stuff like that. I mean, the whole thing about discouraging cars is one aspect, but at the same time, you go balance that against, well, do you want economic social activity or not?
Well, moving seamlessly on to something else, I think Si wanted to talk about, the Cop Hill climb. I went to that, and I got there quite late because I was working in the morning, but I still had to pay. And I parked just in the public car park because I was just going for the afternoon. It was £20 entrance fee. Had I wanted to display my car and be part of the show inside, it was £30. If I'm part of the show and displaying my car, it would have cost me more.
But it was for charity. The money does go to charity.
Yeah, it's for charity, but it just seemed bizarre to me that you would pay more when you're contributing to the show than you would as a visitor.
Yeah, but it is for charity. I mean, they raised £1.3 million for local causes. I mean, we have this conversation with a lot of members, but if you want to be part of the show, you've got to pay. You know,
if you're taking part in the hill climb, sure, but if you're just parking on display within the show, and you've an interesting car that the public would be interested in, why charge more than you're charging on the gate? I mean, the same, sure. Like you say, it's for charity. But it just seemed odd to me that you would pay more.
Well, I can't remember what I paid, but the event was the hill climb was quite good. I only got to do one up.
Yeah.
What did you drive?
The 360. And it was really interesting because I had so I offered my seat to charity. So to them, so they sell off a seat.
Oh, so you drove somebody up there?
So I drove somebody. So the first.
So you scared the bejesus out of somebody driving them up this hill?
No, it wasn't.
Only one run, so you'd never done it before.
To be honest, it didn't really seem much of a hill, really. But no, it was a really nice chap called Mohammed, and I started talking to him, and it was the first time he's actually been in the Ferrari that's been driven, and he recorded. He had one of those, those glasses. He'd probably listen to his podcast now because he's on my LinkedIn, so I sent him his link. But it's really funny because he had these. His wife gave him a pair of those
Ray-Ban Metas.
Yeah. So I said, right, we're going to go on the hill now. He goes, all right. I said, put your Ray-Bans on. He goes, all right, yeah. Put him on. It's like, so there's about 2 cars in front, 1 car in front. We're going to go. And he goes, banger, the batteries have died.
Oh, no.
I said, get your camera. And then, because they were running out of time, they were putting cars there really fast. But then just as we were about to go, they stopped it because there was a bolt on the road.
There was a what?
A bolt.
Oh, okay.
All right. So we had a few times. But yeah, I took him up.
Whose car did that fall off of?
I don't know, but it was, yeah.
It was a Beetle.
Yeah, hopefully it wasn't on a break. And the second guy...
I didn't take the Beetle up.
Okay. The second guy I took in the afternoon, and it was for his son, but his son didn't turn up. So he was a really nice guy. Darren, his name is, and his girlfriend.
Oh, that's the one I met then. But yeah, you confused me for a minute then, because I met the one in the afternoon, and you said his name was Mohammed. I'm thinking he didn't look like a Mohammed.
Maybe diverted. No, Darren.
You never know. But...
And his girlfriend's son was John, and he was in a McLaren 600 LT, which is a lovely car. It's a great car. So he went out in that. I took Darren up in that, and he really enjoyed it. And then I gave his daughter's boyfriend, John, who was in a 600 LT, a lift to the house. And he was literally all the way going, oh, yeah. And he loved it because I'm revving it up, got loud exhaust, because 600 LT is a great car, but the sound is good. And a lot of it is about sound, which is what makes a supercar, because that's what makes you, because it makes it feel fast and everything. And he did turn around and say, oh, 600 LT was really nice. It was a good car, but this 360 is so much nicer. Yeah, That's
yeah.
It's the emotions that you get out of these things.
And mine sounds better than yours.
No, it doesn't. Is that a challenge?
Game on. Game on.
If I had a gauntlet,
yeah, absolutely.
But talking of sound, I mean, actually, that segues nicely into the fact that we've just had the speed record broken by a BYD Yang Wang U9 something or other, and it's done.
I wrote it down. It's called a Yang Wang.
Yeah,
Yang Wang.
Yes, yes, that's a
The
great name
Yang
for a car.
Wang U9 Extreme.
I
Yeah,
prefer
Yang Wang.
Wang Chung Wang from the old 80s.
I think you're just enjoying saying that word over and over again.
You wanged it round the track.
Oh, I was gonna say one thing. What I just got to mention about the Cop Hill climb. You've seen a photo on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
A chap I know turned up in the 4th oldest Aston Martin ever made, and that was really cool. The Razor Blade. Is it one seater? Fantastic. It was like that's history. I think it's 60 years.
Well, but what about that Alfa Romeo? What about that Alfa Romeo? It was the Alfa Romeo. Was it the? I can't remember the model number. I've literally just posted it on my YouTube Shorts this morning. It was chassis number 1 of the Targa Florio car.
I'm looking for the picture.
And it had been driven by Enzo Ferrari. That's where I was parked at Cop Hill Climb. That was the car park.
Hang on a minute. I'm just showing a picture of your car parked at Cop Hill. This is the Nissan. It looks like you're parked in a crop field.
Yeah.
You paid £30 to
I am
to park in the crop field.
It was £20 to park in the crop field. £30 if I'd wanted to park on a bit of flat ground in the show.
So you paid £20 to mow their grass?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Should have bought your Ferrari.
I was only there for 2 hours. Yeah, I was coming straight from work, so it was a little bit rushed.
So anyway, so you know what I wanted to ask you about as well, Si? You've been driving something else recently, haven't you? Something with a 3-pointed star on it?
Yeah, a Mercedes. Let me remind myself. A Mercedes AMG GT. So Evo magazine.
So have I.
Yeah, actually, yeah, both first drive. So Evo magazine.
Yeah.
Got together with Mercedes-Benz UK, and they organised these days. There was a day at Brooklands, I think 2 days at Brooklands, at Silverstone, and at the Mercedes-Benz World. Brands Hatch.
And at Brands Hatch is the one Silverstone. I did. Yeah.
And what they did was they invited people where you could go on the website or whatever and just apply. But they invited the drivers, our club, should I say, the drivers' union, for some members to come along. And I think about 20 members in total went over the 3 different events, and we all get to drive the track. What did you think of the car, Fiona?
Well, I was just wondering, actually, before we get onto that, I was just wondering, why do you think you and I were invited to that and Shazad wasn't?
Well, because we completed the form, and because I know the editor of Evo, and he said to me, "You should come, Si. At least you should come." And I'm like,
yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's like, you know, I mean, obviously I'm on the press circuit, so I do get to do stuff, and I do get invited to these events, but I normally only do them if it's a press event. And honestly, like, I'm getting to the point now where, you know, I've done it all, and I'm, you know, it's getting to the point where unless it's like something really interesting, I'm like, yeah. But you go ahead, tell me about the AMG GT, you know.
Yeah, what did you think, Fiona? You first, ladies first.
So was this the experience?
It's a big heavy car, but it was good fun.
That was it. Was it? That was the experience.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's the replacement. It's the replacement, the new version. It has 2 seats at the back now, if you can call them seats. Little kids can get in the back. More power. I can't remember if I drove the. I think it's 55 or 63. There's 2 versions. One with lots of power, and one with a little bit even more power. Because I went to Silverstone track, so I'm driving around, and fortunately, one of the chaps was because they pair you with a driver, a professional driver, and it turned out the drivers there was Keith, lovely chap, I've known him for years. I said, Keith, I want to come sit with you, so I sat with him, but he kept telling me on every turn here, turn left there, so it's like really distracting, and I always find when people are talking to me and everything's electronic, you know, it's a bit confusing. Sounded great. It looks really good in silver. Not a supercar, You know,
Yeah, but you have a very narrow definition of supercars, though. That's
well, it doesn't look like a supercar, but you know, the interesting thing was that because they do a talk for about 45 minutes about the car, 50 minutes, and people can ask questions. So it's about 45 minutes to an hour, and nobody asked about the price.
You know something? You know what? I'm falling asleep here. I've lost interest. I've lost interest in the car, honestly. But what I want to ask you about, forget about the car. You know what? Forget about it. But I've never driven Silverstone. What was Silverstone like? Tell me about that.
I've driven Silverstone quite a few times, actually. It's a great track. I mean, for the Mercedes thing, they shortened it. It was a bit smaller. So where you're supposed to turn left, you carry going straight on a shorter circuit, and that kept confusing me. It's a great track. I think if you're going to do a track, have you driven Brands Hatch?
No, I've not driven any UK tracks.
Well, I have.
I personally think,
that was the first time I've driven Brands Hatch. Very tight turns there.
And you go down Paddock Hill. I personally prefer Brands Hatch. It's a much more. It's much more. It's better. You know, it's a little more technical.
Yeah.
You know, you got to. Well, Silverstone's also good.
Silverstone's faster though, isn't it? Yeah. Silverstone's faster. It's because you're not slowing down for the tight turns.
Yeah.
I mean, what you guys
I've never driven Silverstone in anger. I've only done parade laps there, but you know.
What you guys are telling me actually reminds me a lot of a comparison between Yas Marina circuit and the Autodrome Club circuit, because I would say that's very similar. Where Yas Marina is more exciting, but it's also more scary because it is a very high-speed circuit. When also, you know, it's got that very tricky infill section as well. Whereas the Autodrome Club circuit is nice, open, sweeping, quite short, so easy to remember, but really, really enjoyable. So I think what you've described is a similar sort of scenario.
I mean, for me, when you go in Brands Hatch, when you go down Paddock Hill, your stomach sort of just goes down because you're just literally going down and then up, and then you hit your hairpin. And it's great. It's a great feeling, but it's unforgiving. I do know people who've smashed their cars up there.
It's funny you should say that because I did make myself feel sick driving around Brands Hatch.
Yeah, that can happen. You know,
yeah.
I think as we get older, I just feel sick. When I was younger,
well, I think especially as a passenger, that normally that happens as a passenger, though, doesn't it? When you're riding around after a couple.
Oh, that was with me driving.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
But
that was with me driving. I managed to make myself feel ill. I've never done that before. I've never made myself feel ill while I was the one driving. Normally, if I'm in control of the car, I'm fine.
Yeah, I feel ill.
But yeah, maybe it was. I don't know. Did you think it felt that the 4-wheel steering on it? Did you think that made the motion feel different? Maybe.
To be honest, I couldn't really experience it much. It's just, you know, you need. I think just driving around on a track, you can't really notice it. And when you've got someone next to you, you can't do things that you want to do, and you just feel. I don't know how Shazad's more experienced in doing test drives, but I like peace and quiet. I like to do it my own way and build up to it, and then start feeling, because you need a few hours, you need a day to really find out what kind of.
You know, I have done many.
It's interesting if you watch it going around the skid pan at Mercedes-Benz World, which I did the other day, you can actually see the rear wheels steering as it's going round, which is interesting to watch. It's bizarre.
I think the thing is that many experiences I've done, you know, on press trips and what have you, I find that there's two kinds of instructors, and it depends on what kind you get. Now, there's one instructor that you get, and they just go into normal instructor mode. So they go into that mode where they think they're there to teach you how to be a better racing driver. And in my mind, as a journalist, I'm not there to master a lap time. I'm not there to master the circuit. I don't really care about all of that stuff. I'm there for the experience and to experience the car and feel that. So the second kind of instructor, which I much prefer, are the ones that get in the car and they're just there to make sure you don't do anything stupid. Yeah, otherwise they're like, go for it, dude. And all they'll do is like, yeah, this is a good braking point. Yeah, and just watch out over the crest, it's blind. You know, that's it. They won't try and tell you, you know, brake here, turn in here. They won't do all of that. They'll let you do what you're doing, but they're just there to make you safe. But the best experiences I've actually had are the lead follow scenarios, where normally you don't have anybody with you. So what you have is an instructor in a car in front, which is actually great, because if you're the first in the queue, and what they'll do sometimes is they'll rotate. So if they take a pack of 3 cars out, then in each lap they get you to rotate. So everybody gets 1 or 2 laps behind the lead car, which is the instructor car. And that way you can see the braking points and you can see the turning in points and stuff like that. And I do remember a time we had a lot of fun. It was actually on a Mercedes event. It was Yas Marina. And we kind of broke from the pack a little bit. And it was a senior Mercedes test driver. And we came into the marina section just underneath the hotel promenade bit. And he did actually go off because we were pushing quite hard and I was quite close behind him. And he did actually go off that bit. And he immediately recovered and he came back. And because it was the infield section, the other people hadn't seen that. You know, obviously the cameras had, but the other drivers hadn't. And we pulled into the pit lane and he jumped out and he came over to me and he said, "That didn't happen." I'm like, "No, it didn't." It didn't happen. It's fine. I won't tell anyone. You know, of course, I tell everybody. So,
well, you know, we did last year. We did some airfield days, which the club paid for. Some members were invited to come down at Northfield, and there you can take your car to the limit without hitting anything. And I've been doing it for like 15 years there, on and off. And I took the DB9, and the DB9 is supposed to be a bit of a dog when it comes to handling. But I tell you what, I did not lose the back end once. And I tried and tried. It was just, well, I mean, I should have tried a bit harder perhaps, but it was really, and that's when you really find out what a car is. So if a company somebody gave me a car, I'd take it down to Brands, Northfield, you know, talk to Andy, who's the instructor, and say, "Look, can I take it around? Let me see what I can do with this car." And it's great. And it literally you can take it to the limit. And it's a great way to learn. So if anybody's
But you don't need a fast car to have a fun track day. Some of the most fun I've had on a track was in a 3-wheeled Morgan because they're hilarious. The back end just slides out so easily. They're hilarious. I've never laughed so much in my life.
They are fun cars. We drove a 3-wheeler in Russell Kamer around a go-kart track, and it was hilarious fun.
Well, so did that cricketer. You know,
a go-kart track would be great in one of those.
The Top Gear chap, he crashed it, didn't he?
What 3-wheeler?
Yeah, what's his name? This cricketer.
Oh, did he?
Top Gear. You don't know? Yeah, what's his name?
Flintoff.
Freddie.
Freddie. Yeah, you're not supposed to know anything about.
I'm surprised he could fit in one.
No, he was doing a 3-wheeler and no helmet, crashed it. He really damaged his face really bad.
No, was that in that one?
Yeah, I think.
I thought it was something else he was driving.
Was it?
I'm sure it was a 3-wheeler. I think it was a Morgan 3-wheeler.
Yeah. But I have to say that I felt I felt that, you know, the thing is, like, we had obviously Clarkson, Hammond and May. Clarkson, Hammond and May, whatever you thought of the guys, but they were car guys and they did understand cars and they did understand how to drive. And I did feel that these guys, they were a little, was it Paddy and Flintoff? Chris Harris, obviously, he's in a league of his own. He's pretty much a racing driver. But these other guys, you know, in the very, very few episodes I saw, I didn't really feel confident even watching them drive. Never mind, you know, them being actually out there. So it was a surprise about the number of crashes. I think they crashed a classic Lamborghini in one episode, didn't they? I think they wrecked one of those as well. So
well, I've heard from people who've actually lent them a car and they've said they do ruin their cars.
Yeah.
It is like, you know, owners who lend them a car.
That's not good.
Apparently, you know, so they do, you know, they use them. But yeah, it was a 3-wheeler. It was a Morgan Super Free.
Oh wow. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that was the car that it was.
Yeah.
Oh,
I went out in the prototype of that around Bicester actually, when the CEO flew over from Italy to test drive it, and I stood next to it while he was climbing into it and said, "Oh, are you going to take me for a run?" He said, "Come on then." He didn't know where he was going, so I gave him directions. So.
Did you wear a helmet?
No, we were just going around the little roads, Bicester. No.
So listen, we're nearly running out.
No,
of time
we were just
here,
going around Bicester.
But you mentioned Bicester, and that reminded me of something because I drove around Bicester. I drove a converted electric Porsche 356 around Bicester, and that reminded me because before you go, I did want to ask you about your experience of actually owning a converted classic car, because last time when we spoke, it didn't turn out to be everything that you'd hope.
No, I bought this 1965 Beetle that had been converted to electric. I picked it up at auction on collecting cars. Thought I was getting it at a bargain price at 25,000, but the original build cost, it had been built by a music producer at the cost of £70,000 plus the cost of buying the car. He'd paid 70,000 to have it converted. Chris Evans, DJ Chris Evans, had then bought it from him for 40,000, and it was given away. He gave it away to Comic Relief, where it was raffled off, and it raised over £1 million for Comic Relief. So this car had an interesting history as well. So at 25,000, I thought I'd done quite well there. It had a 100-mile range, which I was interested to see whether I could make it work as my main car, because, you know, having a limited number of parking spaces, it needed to be my main car if I was going to keep it. For the work commute, it was great because I could charge it for free at work. Now, I don't have anywhere to charge it at home, or I didn't at the time. I could now.
Well, on a boat.
But I could charge it at work, so that was fine. Yeah, I have shore power hookup, so I could, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, there's another Mora here that does charge an electric car. But the problem was the 100-mile range. Then I had an issue where rain leaked down the wiper spindle and dripped on the charge controller. And I had to send it back to Electric Classic Cars who'd converted it because it just drained. It just drained the battery, and it turned out that it shorted the charge controller. It dripped on the charge controller. It shorted 2 cells in the battery. They couldn't get the same cells anymore, so they bypassed those 2 cells, which then reduced my range to 70 miles. Well, they're based in the middle of Wales, and I'm West London, so I had quite a long drive back. They recommended I do it on a transporter. I said, no, you know, if I'm going to keep this car, I need to know that I can do longer trips when I need to. I planned an overnight stop at a friend's house in Cirencester. Didn't quite even make it there. I stopped and charged up in Ross-on-Wye. Didn't even make it to Cirencester. It didn't have a fast charger, so I was sat for 6 hours in a Morrison's in Ross-on-Wye because everywhere closed. I went for a little walk around the town, and then everywhere's shut, so I just sat in Morrison's waiting for this car to charge. And then it got to that time of night when there's roadworks come out and there's road closures. So I got rerouted up this steep hill that just drained the battery. Ended up about 3 miles from Cirencester. Long story a bit short. 3 miles from Cirencester, without enough charge to get there. I'd found a charger, but it was the wrong type of connector. It was a fast charger, and they didn't have a Type 2, which I thought was the most common type. Nope, no Type 2. So I had no way of charging it. I had to get the car recovered.
Wow.
So another reason not to buy an electric car.
Yeah, so I've kind of gone off the whole idea of getting an EV, but yeah, I've tried it, and the one thing I would say about it, I mean, it was a beautiful car. It was beautifully restored 1965 Beetle, unlike Pedro, my Baja Bug, who's, you know, it's very, very modified. This was a complete classic, white wall tires, the works, lovely baby blue color. It looked like an unmodified old Beetle. You could have a lot of fun at the traffic lights because it did take off very well at the traffic lights. It cornered like shit because it still had the old Beetle swing axle suspension, but off the traffic lights in a straight line, it was amazing. And it still had a gearbox. You could still change through the gears. You didn't have to. You could just put it in third and drive it like an automatic. But if you wanted a bit more torque, you could change down to the lower gears. Which, yeah, a lot of fun at traffic lights.
How much did you sell it for?
I nearly made my money back. Well, I made back what I paid for it. I got pretty much what I paid for it, but that doesn't take into account the money that I spent fixing it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I lost money on it, but yeah, I gave it a go. I gave the EV thing a go. So I feel qualified to criticize them now.
I did say that. Yeah. I said this to one of the cars I reviewed recently, and I said to the builder, I said, do you think it's too early to be converting classics to electric? Because the battery technology is still in its infancy. And I do think that it's going to get better, it's going to get more compact, it's going to get safer, and the ranges are going to get longer. But that's not going to happen for a few years yet. So it's almost like you convert an electric classic today, you're going to have to do it again in 5 to 10 years because the technology will have moved on so much.
I think e-fuels are going to take over.
They're going to be part of the solution for sure.
because you have to, you know. And I think e-fuels, because there's so many cars around, it'll be e-fuels. Airplanes can't use battery. You know, it's going to be e-fuels, and I reckon
Definitely, yeah.
I reckon
Yeah.
battery cars.
Well, they're already there. They're already,
Yeah, I reckon it's going to feature.
yeah, they're already being used. Synthetic fuels they're already being used in classic racing. You see, you know, all the old Bentleys at Goodwood, they're all running, you know, electric fuels. Sorry, it's synthetic fuels.
So anyway, so on that bombshell, as they used to say, of having solved the world's transportation problems with e-fuels, I would like to bring it to a close because we've run over the clock easily once again. But it's been absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much, Fiona.
You know, I've got, before you go, you know, I've got to ask you if you're coming to German Day at Brooklands tomorrow.
I'm not, because I don't have a German car. I sold my German car.
Si does, kind of.
I'm going to Greenwich breakfast meet. So we have a breakfast meet.
Ah.
And then I'm going to.
Well, there's also Autumn Motorsport Day. You're coming to that, aren't you? Autumn Motorsport Day on the 12th of October.
We've got to mention Fiona's actually really involved with Brooklands. She was on a committee as well. So she's probably for next time. Really need to talk to her about
Brooklands. Right now, let's go for it. Give the event tomorrow a massive plug. Tell people how they can find out about it and how they can sign up to it. And I'll let you do that, and then we will say goodbye.
Yeah, go on to the Brooklands website. And tomorrow is German Day. You've lost me, haven't you? It says reconnecting on my screen.
No, we can hear you.
Tomorrow's German Day. Yeah, you got me now. Great. It said reconnecting. So German Day, any German car. So I will have Pedro there, my Beetle. And if you want to go up Test Hill, you can. Get there early, go and sign on at the clubhouse. And you can take your car up the historic Test Hill. There's live music, the Napier Railton's back from Goodwood, where it's been on display for the revival meet. That's back now. Concorde, all the aircraft factory. And then on the 12th of October is Motorsport Day, where there's going to be some very special competition cars, including that 917K Porsche that we talked about, going around the Mercedes-Benz track, as well as the hill climb and everything else going on there.
Yeah, I'll be there.
So come along. I'll see you two at that one, I'm sure.
There you go. Excellent. And
and supercars as well. Yeah, Drivers Union are going to have a selection of supercars there.
There you go. And I have to recommend the aircraft display as well. I went with a friend to go and visit that recently, a few months back, and we had a lot of fun. It was absolutely brilliant. But anyway, so thank you once again for joining us.
Did you do the Concorde tour?
We didn't do the Concorde tour, but we got to sit in a Harrier jump jet, so that made my day.
Great. Great.
So that was awesome. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. This episode is going out live. There will be a fully uploaded one, a better quality one that will go live today or tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. And we'll be back once again with the Brown Car Guy therapy session. So thanks again so much to Fiona and Si for joining us on this one. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thanks a lot.